This tutorial will show you how to create an assessment out of the Itembank questions. So to begin, I'm at my dashboard of my Illuminate account, and I'm going to go to Assessments and visit Itembank. The first time you visit the Itembank, it's going to ask you to put in a password for this, and that's just a one-time thing. Once you put that in though, your screen should look like mine, and you would click on Create. And then you're going to want to do this in quick mode. There are different ways to do this, but quick mode seems to be the simple way to do that. So we're going to click on quick mode and go to next. And at the top here you can see there are going to be 4 steps to create this Itembank assessment. So the first thing we need to do is create a name for it. And again, I use the academic year first, just so in the future I can filter my assessments easily. I can also put a description in here if I want, or select the academic year, grade level, subject. After you're done with that, click Continue. You'll now notice that Step 2, Select Standards, is highlighted now at the top bar. And on this page, you're going to click what standards you want to use for the Itembank. So for this tutorial, I'm going to click Common Core Standards, College and Career Readiness, and Grade 6 ELA. At the bottom here you'll see the different standards populate, and to get deeper into these standards you just click the arrow, and you can see that in this overall strand there's 710 items, and then it breaks it down for you to tell you kind of where those items are, but you can break it down even farther. So I'm going to go farther into the conventions, and again it goes even farther, and so I'm going to click one more, and one more, and I'm going to choose pronouns. And so what I do is I click on the purple where it says how many items there are, and notice over here on the side a green box is going to just flash. So when I click that, just watch over here on the right hand side. So I click, and you can see that box popped up that said standard added. Now you can click more standards if you want, but for this tutorial I'm just going to click the one standard, and I'm going to scroll back up to the top, and you can see that that standard was added here. And right here I can put how many questions that I want on this particular standard. After you have all the standards that you want in the assessment, click Continue, and you'll notice Step 3 is now highlighted. This is where if you have created assessments in the past and you want to make sure that no questions are duplicated on the assessment you're creating now, if you scroll down you can see the assessments that you've created in the past, and you can add those up at the top if you want, so that you make sure that questions from these tests aren't going to be put in this particular assessment that you're using, or you can use the keywords filter here to search for assessments. Then after that you're going to click Continue, and questions are going to generate. A few things to be aware of is to look at the little icons here, the pencil and the computer, and also to look at the blue boxes that have the acronyms in them. So like this one says CR. To find out what CR means, you can scroll to the bottom, so it means constructive response. So if you don't want to have to manually grade these, you're going to want to regenerate that question, or if it's a question you just don't really care for, you can regenerate as well, and that regenerates just that one question. So make sure that you look at those icons and make sure it's exactly what you want. So if you want to do just a bubble sheet, you don't want the kids to be able to do it online, make sure that all of your questions have that little pencil there. So very important to know what those mean. So once you are satisfied with all of your questions, scroll up to the top. At the top, you now have 2 options. One is to click Save, and the other is to click Ready to Publish. There is a very big difference between these two. The Save option allows you to save it in your Assessments tab on your dashboard under List Assessments. You can come back and revise this before you are ready to administer it to students. If you are ready to administer this test to students right now, then you would click Ready to Publish. This means that your assessment is finalized and you will not be able to come back and revise it. So right now in this tutorial, I'm going to click Ready to Publish. On this page you will notice it says publishing your assessment will finalize and lock it from further editing. So again, make sure before you publish this is exactly how you want it. Down here in this chart, it basically tells you the difficulty of questions, and there are further things that you can do with this with question grouping, but we will not get into that in this tutorial. So for right now, we're just going to click Publish. On this screen is your assessment details, so you can see exactly what it's titled and other things about it. You can also on this screen click on booklets, and you can change anything about the booklets if you're going to print them off, and you can generate them and save them as PDFs. You can see an overview of your test that kind of tells the question types that you have there. You can click review if you want to see the questions, and then again you can go back to details here. So after this, when you're ready to administer it, remember that this will be housed back on Illuminate. So if you return to Illuminate and click on Assessments under List Assessments, and you will now see the assessment that you just created. When you're looking at your assessments, you can also tell what type of assessment it is. So if it says Itembank, those are obviously from the Itembank. If it says assessment, this is a manual assessment or an on-the-fly assessment that you created. This concludes the tutorial on how to create an Itembank assessment.